When one understands something, must one act on this understanding, or does the understanding act of itself? When one understands something, must one act on that understanding, or does the understanding itself act? Right? Question clear? Now what do we mean by, I haven't seen this question, all these questions, I like to come to it spontaneously, naturally. What do we mean by understanding? We use that word so easily. So we must investigate, explore the meaning of that word. We are discussing, exploring together. The speaker is not answering the question. Together, we are looking into the question. We are together investigating, digging into the meaning of words first, according to the dictionary, which is a common usage of the language. What do we mean by understanding? To understand something, to understand oneself, to understand how the computer, which is so marvelous, how to work it, understand the whole surgical process. You understand? What do we mean by that word? Is it purely intellectual? I understand, which is a quick communication between two people or half a dozen people or 100 people, doesn't matter. A quick comprehension of the meaning of the word, quickly translated to the brain, instantly communicated to the brain, and the intellect says, yes, I understand. Right? That is, I have a problem, I have reasoned it out, I have come to a conclusion, and I understand it. Or I understand how to dismantle a car, and so on. That is understanding merely an intellectual affair, a theoretical affair, about which theory can talk endlessly, adding more ideas to it, and think I'm enlarging, growing, understanding. In that understanding, is there any emotional quality? Do you understand my question? Is there something that says, that's not quite. You must add more to it. That is, then there is the intellect, there is the emotion, there is action, right? Emotions exist naturally, one hopes. But either those emotions have become romantic, sentimental, and very, very superficial, and feelings must be recognized by the brain. Therefore, it's part of the brain, right? Part of the sensation of feeling, sensation of imagination, sensation of imagination of looking at a mountain and the beauty and the silence and the dignity and the majesty of it, and putting it on a canvas, or writing a poem about it. It is still part of the activity of the brain. all that. So, is the intellect who says, I understand, apart from the rest of it? Or intellect, which is the capacity to discern, to distinguish, to determine, and action. Right? And therefore, the intellect dominates everything else. I'm very clever. I hope I'm not. But suppose I'm very clever, quick, intellectually. That dominates my whole life. Till I begin to old age, then I believe. Then I become a Catholic, Protestant, Buddhist, whatever it is. Then I play a game with myself. So, we're asking, is understanding a whole movement, not an act of the brain only, act of the intellect only. You understand? We'll now have to examine what is action, right? What is it that one has to do? Act. What determines action? You understand my question? What brings about action? What do we mean by action? To act. You understand my question? I won't ask you whether you understand. I won't ask anymore. What do we mean by act? To do. Is that action based on an ideal or on a theory or a conclusion, a historical conclusion, and on that conclusion, historical, romantic, dialectic, or imaginative? That is, let's put all that into one word, ideological. That is, I act on an idea, right? So, what is an idea? Why do we have so many ideas? The word idea, not it's right or wrong, but we are investigating into the question of idea. The scientists, the physicists, or the scientific theoretical philosophers, they want ideas. Otherwise they feel lost. They want new ideas all the time. So we must examine, what do we mean by an idea? I believe, the speaker believes, it comes from the original Greek, which means to observe, to see. There is a fact. There is a clock there. It says 10 to 11. And that's a fact. And there are non-facts, right? And the non-facts are totally away from the fact, right? Distance. And so there is the fact and the idea about the fact. Oh, so we pursue the idea, not the investigation into the fact. And the idea becomes far more important than the fact. The socialists, the communists, others, left, right, center, they have ideas, theories, conclusions, historical, dialectical, Lenin, Stalin, or a philosopher like Adam Smith and American politicians. And they try to fit man into those ideas, right? And to make them fit, they torture them, they say you can't do this, you can't do it. So to them, ideas become far more important than the human, which is a fact. So, do we do this? Do we, each one of us, always move away from the fact? Yes? And pursue that fact, that idea, and act according to that idea, which probably has nothing to do with fact. Right? So, what do we mean by acting? Either you act according to your past memories, experiences, or some future ideological conclusion. Future and the past. So, is your action based on the past or on the future? Therefore, it's not act. Right? Are we making this clear? If we act according to certain memories, conclusions, experiences, knowledge, then we are acting from the past. The word act means do. The doing, not according to the past or according to the future. So the question is, go into this very serious. Is there an action which is not based on time? Don't be puzzled. If one grasps the significance, the content, the deep meaning of the past, how the past modified projects itself into the future, and if I act according to the past, it's not action. It's merely memory, having come to certain conclusions, acts. Or action takes place according to some future concept. So it is always caught in the field of time, in the cycle of time. Right? Now we are asking, is there an action which is not based on time? Think it out, sir. Think it out. Don't wait for me, for the speaker to explain. Think it out. It's a very simple question, but has tremendous meaning behind it. That is, I've always acted according to my tradition. The tradition may be 1 day old or 5,000 years old. I've always acted according to that tradition. What tradition means tradare, hand over. So my parents, grandparents, parents, 1,000 parents have handed over certain consequence of their thought, their feelings, gradually seep through various generations. I am that, part of that. That's my background, the Brahma, all the rest of it. And I act according to that. Or I reject all that, say how stupid, and look to the future. I must do this, I must not do it. According to Lenin, Stalin, all the rest of them, I will follow. And I call both these action. And I question, is there an action which is not based on these two? Right? An action which is not the process of time. You have to use, you have to use your brains. How does one, or what is one to do when you are asked that question? Is there an action which is not caught in the wheel of time? How does one's brain react to that question? Because the brain has been conditioned to that, shaped according to the past, that is caught in the field of time, in the network of time, right? So the brain withdraws for the moment, is not able to answer it. He says, too much trouble, for goodness sake, leave me alone. I'm used to this pattern, it has brought its misery, suffering, but also there is the other compensating side to it. Carry on. Don't ask these questions. Don't put these questions which are so difficult. They are not difficult. The word difficult makes it difficult. So I won't use that word. But I have to find out an action. Right? May I go into it? Do you want me to go into it? Action is related to love, not to memory. Memory, remembering the images, is not love. Sensation upon which or through which I act. So sensation is not love. Therefore, what is the relationship of love for action? You follow? Is love memory? We have met together, we have slept together, we have done all kinds of things together, walked up the mountain, down the valley, round the hills, taken telesiege together, companions, quarrels, all the business. And that is called companionship, affection, love, holding hands, walking, all that, right? most of it is based on sensation, image, and attachment. Without attachment, I'm lost. I feel terribly lonely. Feeling lonely, I'm desperate. Either I become bitter, and all the rest of it. Is all that love? We went into it. Obviously, it's not. So what is the relationship between love and action? Go on, sir. If love is in the field of time, then it's not love. So, love is action. There is not love first and action later, or memory and all that. So, for the speaker, don't accept it. For the speaker, there is no division between the perception, the quality of that love. When there is that quality, it is action. It is not an intellectual process of determination or choice. I won't go into more complicated. It is an action of immediate perception action.